Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So I was watching Sky News the other day, and there was this gentleman called Goldsmith, and it was really interesting what he was talking about. He was talking, unfortunately his daughter passed away, and he was talking about the afterlife, and it was actually quite a profound piece for a news media outlet to be covering, and it just really interested me, so I thought I would share it here. I hope that's not going to cause a problem. I noticed, because I've been trying to put the Pursuit of Truth onto Facebook, all the videos, because of all that problem I had with YouTube when they wanted to remove one of my videos. I think, was it hate speech or whatever they put it down to, and it's got no hate in there at all. Anyone who knows me or listens to these things, no, there's no hate in there. There's nothing could be construed as hate, but they keep using it when it comes to certain matters, especially if it's like 9/11 or things like that. So you've got to be very careful how you say things. There's well, I suppose the idea of freedom of speech has gone out the window when it comes to conjecture or questioning. You know, not even having views, but just questioning seems to be a problem with these sites. But anyway, because I'm on my Facebook, I've had a bit of a problem with two of them. Number 71, which was a speech by Reverend, was it Michael Curry? I think it was at Meghan and Harry's wedding. Just because I think it's probably owned by someone. I know UMG, they striked me recently for a video to do with the coronation speech of Justin Welby. Well, I've seen that as fair use. Because I'm not making money out of my videos. I mean, I don't have enough people to make money out of my videos. And it's just a fair use thing. It's just, this is a bit of the thing, and I'm going to talk about it because I feel that it's important to have the source when you're talking about it, so that you can listen to exactly what it is that's being said, and it's not just me saying, oh, well, he said this, you know. And if I put a link, I suppose I could just put a link, it just doesn't feel complete for me. So yeah, I've had a problem with that one, and now there's another one. Is it 298 or 289 or 88 or 87? I can't remember which one it is. It was to do with Sri Lanka and measles, and there was nothing in there. I mean, it was it had a bit of Sky News with Neil Patterson. You know, maybe I wasn't very flattering towards his journalistic endeavours, but nothing that doesn't come under fair use. And I use Sky all the time, and I'm sure, I don't think they've got a problem with it, surely, using little clips. Well, these days everyone does, with Twitter and TikTok and things like that, and they're always encouraging people, oh, share this and this, that and the other. So, you know, if anything, I'm giving a free advert by sharing their things, even if I am, you know, critiquing them or using them as examples of things. So yeah, recently, and the thing is, I was thinking I'm just gonna, and this is where I think I have that autistic trait. I like numbering, and the idea of, that's why I wanted to get rid of the YouTube thing when they didn't want to put one of them. I can't have it incomplete. It has to be all there or nothing. And like with Facebook, I've put nearly 300 of them on there, and now they wanted to remove one. I was like ready to just, well, I'm going to delete them all then. They just have to stay on YouTube. Because Facebook, it's very difficult to put these videos. Anyway, I'm going off the point because I wanted to talk about Goldsmith, didn't I? Yeah, so it's really interesting, and it's about, well, you can hear it anyway. I don't really have anything to add, but it was really quite interesting how he's talking about nature and about and it's quite true, because if you think about it, well, I know you haven't heard it yet. When you think of the therapeutic elements of nature, how it helps us, that when you go on holiday and you see a nice view, how you want to find that there is something intrinsic within each of us. There is a connection, as we are part of nature itself, I guess, in this biosphere. And he did this. What's the drug name? I can't remember. He's going to pronounce it anyway. I think it's a Native American. I don't like using that term, but that's the parlance of the system that we live within. Their drug, and it gives you enlightenment. And the last thing he said before he woke up was, "God is an octopus," which is the name of this book about all this. And just the idea of looking at things differently. Often I think that God is like light, and that's why we put lampposts everywhere to shine down on us, almost as if, intrinsically we know that God is light, or some kind of, we often, Michelangelo draw him as a man with a big beard, but he's obviously not like that, because especially his definitions of that he's around us all the time and all that, and time and space, alpha and omega, if God does exist, of course. So more likely the fabric of the universe, or light, or something that exists all the time and everywhere and doesn't need sustenance and is able to create, or water or something, or nature's things. Anyway, hear this because I thought it was really interesting, so please put your views.
Watch out for that at midday. We'll break first here on Sky News. What does it mean for your mortgage? We'll analyse that for you throughout the course of the day. Before that, though, on this programme, let me tell you about Ben Goldsmith. He's been through the thing that every parent fears most of all. His 15-year-old daughter, Iris, died in an accident on their family farm, leaving him and his family, as you would imagine, completely devastated. It's a situation that reverses the course of nature. Ben is with me now to talk about what happened. Hi, Ben. It's good to see not the natural order of things for your child to die before you. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, my daughter was a little star. She was 15 and a half, and she had an accident on our family farm. She turned over a vehicle, and there were no adults nearby to lift it off her. And so we lost her, and I got there an hour and a half later to arrive on that scene, and it was about as awful a thing as can happen to anyone, really.
I mean, beautiful. Are you happy with us showing the pictures?
Of course.
Yeah, beautiful little girl. Looks like her dad, it has to be said.
Yeah, we were very young when we had her. Kate and I were just 22 and 20 when Iris was born. She was our first child. And she was sparkling in preparation for a future which ultimately didn't materialise. But during the years she was with us, she was one of the most brilliant people I've ever known.
You decided to go on a journey to try to come to terms with what had happened, and you've written a book about it. Tell us a bit more.
I mean, when something of this degree of darkness happens to you, you ask questions that you might never have explored in your life. I was never particularly spiritual. I wasn't religious. I was christened and confirmed because it gave me a week off school, I remember, as a teenager. And I couldn't bear the idea that her experience in this world was just over. A statistical event and just eternal nothingness. And so I spoke to a local vicar. I went to see a rabbi in North London a number of times. I spent time with a Buddhist monk who's a spiritual advisor to a car mechanic that I know very well. I read a lot, and I just searched for a trace of her, because the vast majority of people that have ever lived in this world believe that there is a life after death, that our experience isn't limited to this life. And that was an idea that had always seemed hocus pocus to me before, and it was an idea that I wanted desperately to cling to. And I guess a year of soul searching hasn't necessarily given me any answers, except that I believe now that we're part of a grand mystery which is beyond our comprehension.
So what did you find? How did you go about that?
I mean, I've been fascinated by nature all my life. Since I was a child, I spent my time putting up bird boxes and building ponds and getting up at crack of dawn to go looking for wildlife in the next door woodland. I've been called to nature all my life. It's really the thing that has been the most important thing in my life. And quite soon after losing Iris, I was sort of astonished to find that I still found mesmeric beauty in the natural world. We live in this beautiful place in South Somerset, and we're rewilding the landscape there. A whole bunch of farmers around me are rewilding the land using horned cattle, and the wood pasture is re-emergent there. Place of real twinkling magic. And I thought that there would be nothing but darkness. And when I found that ongoing appreciation and beauty in nature, and in time, sort of hope and meaning, I found huge solace and huge relief in that. I think we really need nature in a way that I hadn't understood previously. Obviously, we need to be in nature for our physical health and for our mental well-being, but I think we need it on a more visceral level. The mysteries of nature are barely known to us. Communication between species, the way trees talk to each other using a wood wide web of kind of fungal networks under the ground, the way plants will call in predatory insects to eat the aphids that are attacking them, the way the chemicals released by trees when we walk in the forest reduce our blood pressure and they make us feel happy. We don't know why any of this happens. The mystery is far beyond our understanding, and I came to the view during that year that we are all called to nature in some way, and people will pay twice for an apartment that overlooks the park than one that doesn't. We're all called to nature because it's like an iceberg. I think there's more than meets the eye. What we see and can understand is just a limited bit above the water. I think there is a much greater, grander, more incomprehensible mystery that is not revealed to us in the obvious way. And there is comfort to be found in that kind of a realization that we really don't know what we're part of. So that's, I suppose, as close as I got to an answer.
How did you feel during that journey that you were able to communicate with Iris?
I feel Iris close by in a way that is difficult for me to explain or to prove, because it's so unlike everything that I perceive with my senses. I think I have this in common with others I know who have been desperately bereaved. After a time, you come to feel an ongoing connection which is very different from anything you felt before. And I'm of the view that in some way that is indescribable or incomprehensible, that we will be together again. At the funeral, I read a poem which I sort of dumbly recited. I don't know how I managed it. It's I Carry You in My Heart by E. E. Cummings. And I understand now that that has more meaning than I might initially have understood. There is an ongoing connection with those that have gone before, if you look for it. Someone described once the idea that in that darkness, a kind of third eye appears. And these are very strange things that I would have considered, like I said, hocus pocus before I lost my daughter. And so I wrote a book about it.
Amazing. I was intrigued by you saying a mechanic's spiritual advisor. How does that work?
So I have a Sri Lankan friend who's now gone back to live in retirement in Sri Lanka, and he was very kind. Like many people, he reached out to me and said, "I'm desperately sorry for your loss. I beg you to come with me to meet my spiritual advisor." And how could I refuse? So I hopped in his little electric Twingo or whatever it was, which is quite amusing given he's a mechanic, and went to the Vihari in Acton and sat with 2 Sri Lankan Buddhist monks for nearly 3 hours and asked them about their interpretation of life and death. And of course the Buddhists, like the Jewish Kabbalists and the Hindus, believe in a cycle of reincarnation. Okay. And their view is that in some instances, especially where the death has been traumatic, in the new life, it's possible to recall the previous life, but we're on an endless cycle of learning in that way. And I'm completely open-minded to that idea. Who knows? I don't think we have any idea. I think that the nature of reality is stranger than we can imagine, stranger than we're capable of imagining.
Family, obviously, all important to you. I wondered if I might just be able to ask you, while I've got you here, about your former brother-in-law in the form of Imran Khan. There's quite a lot going on there at the moment. How do you think that he would react to the situation? I don't know how well you knew him. How will he react to the situation he's found himself in?
Yeah, we all love Imran deeply and admire him hugely, and we're obviously all concerned for him now. He's been one of the great inspirations of my life.
In what way?
As a young teenager, he was the kind of older male role model in my family. He was always there during school holidays and so on. He taught me how to play cricket, and he also taught me that it's absolutely normal to take a love of nature into adulthood. I think a lot of children leave it behind in childhood, that outward love of nature. And he would pause on a walk and say, "Thank Allah for the gift of fragrance," or for the gift of birdsong. And for Imran, nature is the primordial manifestation of God, which is sort of the realization that I may have come to in the last year or two. And that's why Imran was the most radical environmentalist world leader for several years, with his 10 billion tree tsunami and the Recharge Pakistan initiative, which is restoring hundreds of thousands of acres of wetlands. And there are even plans to reintroduce one-horned rhinoceros to Pakistan, the first country to reintroduce from captivity the rhinoceros. So he's an inspiration, and We all love him deeply. I don't know what's going on over there, though. I'm not involved at all in
No. I just wondered what sort of advice, given that he's offered you so much advice over the years, what advice would you offer him now?
So Imran has a staunch faith in a higher plan, and that each of us has a purpose in this world to do good in our own unique way. And he trusts in that plan and believes that all will be well, one way or another. That's what he said to me at the beginning, is all will be well, one way or another.
Title of the book?
The book is called God is an Octopus, which was initially sort of a joke, but I underwent something very strange. So at the end of a year of grieving Iris, that first year, a year of searching, some quite unexpected and surprising people suggested to me that I undertake a kind of guided psychedelic experience, which is something that I never contemplated, and it wasn't very me. And I did it. I drank a psychedelic tea, which they drink in the Amazon basin, and people of the Amazon do it at moments of individual and collective tribulation. And it's called ayahuasca, and it's used now in there's a whole bunch of clinical trials taking place in North America and Australia, using it to tackle post-traumatic stress and bereavement and addiction and other issues. And I did this, and it was an extraordinarily meaningful and beautiful, if quite terrifying experience. And I'd written on a piece of paper as I was emerging from this thing, God is an octopus. And when I showed it to the publisher, they said, well, of course, that's the title.
There we go.
So that is the title.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Ben, to talk to us today. Absolutely fascinating. And we are really deeply sorry for your loss. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, Kate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, though, how he talked about life. If anyone who's listened historically, the Imran Khan issue is he was the former, well, he was a cricketer originally, and then he was the former was it Prime Minister or President of Pakistan, and he's going through these allegations of corruption, I guess, and stuff like that, and he was arrested by the paramilitary who burst in to the court through the window rather than going through the door, and just dragged him out and I guess in most terms illegally took him, kidnapped him. It was a very strange, bizarre way of doing it. So that's that aspect. Yes, but it was interesting to see. I wonder what the because it's funny how we see the drugs as something, as I've never done drugs, but how we see drugs as like, oh, it's such a bad thing, and yet, well, actually it's part of nature, isn't it? Much like tea is a drug, or everything that you eat is from the what we call the earth. Whether it's animals, whether it's vegetation, all of it. It's just a mixture of different things to create different tastes or experiences. Much like chocolate can, give you endorphins and stuff like that. So it's interesting how, what drugs could do. Some of them are beneficial, some of them, are not so beneficial. But I wonder if the God is an octopus was some kind of metaphorical thing, the octopus having many legs and many different religions or paths to God. Was it that was trying to be suggested, or really weird, or it might have been nothing. But what was interesting, I thought, towards the end when he was talking about how we don't know very much of the life that we found in South Pond, which I've mentioned many a time on The Pursuit of Truth. We take for granted the story that we're all told at school. We never question who, what, where, when it comes to humanity, and why we're actually here, what we're here to do, how we came here, whether there's a before here, like the Quatermass kind of Nigel Neal story of us being Martians, whether we came from another planet, whether there's been previous, as some people think, previous civilization of humanity that was wiped out, to do with, that, or whether, what we're actually here for, because we think, we just get, we're here to make money and to live and to exist, to buy houses and do all these things. And that's, our idea of our existence. Whereas in reality, we don't know, you know, how we came here. You know, we have illusions of the Big Bang and all this kind of stuff, but we have no, you know, of what our existence is meant to be, whether there is a point to us. You know, the people who believe in religion would believe, it's to do good works and to be judged by God based on, you know, doing good opposed to bad, or, you know, looking after humanity. For those who don't believe in God, it could just be whatever we've decided it is. And we've just decided that it's about getting money and making people rich who sit on their thrones, whether it's in businesses or whether it's in government. But just for that realization, for people to think about it and just think, you know, why are we here? You know, is the things that we're doing right? And I expect most people, if they really looked at our existence historically or now, would have to say that, well, no, we're wasting a lot of our energy and time in the things that we do when we have no God, or no, you know, God who's telling you, you must do this or you will be incinerated. You must live like this. You know, God has given us free will, and if you don't believe in God, well, there's free will anyway. And we've chosen to live in this way, where we divided ourselves up, country to country, and humanity, different colours, and all the other ways that we divide ourselves, so that we can fight amongst ourselves, either physically or mentally or any emotionally or any other way, rather than all being one big humanity, which that's the intrinsic truth, the only real truth that we know, that we are all human beings. We found ourselves upon this place, and, you know, if you believe in, like, we were cavemen originally, or you know, we've slowly throughout the millennia devised this life. Why devise a life that puts us in shackles, that enables us not to help each other because we need money or this, that and the other, or, you know, because or histories and politics and cultures that, you know, divide us. Anyway, it was really interesting. What's your view? Take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.